Hey guys, it's Carcer coming back again with some more Battlefield Gothic Armada 2 multiplayer. Um, this time we are going to be facing off first against Maximus in the Eldar Corsairs. Eldar Corsairs are, well, they can be pretty annoying to play against as orcs, particularly if they elect to go for a couple of Void Stalkers. I mean, it's something that's very difficult to deal with. Due to the range and obviously the stealth. But we'll see what Maximus has brought this time. So just taking a quick look at the map. Now normally I would spread out my escorts to send off and capture points that aren't nearby to my main fleet. But because it's Corsairs and they're so maneuverable and of course stealthed, I don't want to leave any vulnerable groups of escorts out in the open, certainly not at the start anyway, until things get involved. So I'm going to hide a group of 3 escorts in the gas cloud in the extreme bottom left corner, and I'll use them to capture that bottom left point once the enemy's captured it and moved on. I've got a feeling that's what's going to happen, because I'm going to be moving the bulk of my fleet up the right hand side here, capture those 3 points in the row there. So I'm pretty sure that the enemy will split up once they see that bottom left one's not being captured, which means if I have to engage them somewhere, then hopefully I'll have less to deal with at once. So just starting with the boost up. So I can see there, okay, so the top left was captured pretty quickly. So either that's a battleship or just lots of something else. And top right was captured pretty quickly as well. So it looks like whatever they've got a pretty decent 50-50 split across the left and right hand sides of the maps, which is good. That's exactly what I wanted. So hopefully now the group of ships that captured that top left point are going to move down to the bottom left, do the same there. Then I can move up the right hand side and only have to deal with half their fleet at any one time. So just keeping the rest of my escorts with the main fleet, just so they can provide spotting with their scanners. I do also have fighters available on the 2 cruisers. Rather than the usual hammers, battle cruisers that I take, I elected to go for a couple of terror cruisers instead. Obviously they're a little bit more susceptible to criticals, and they don't have all of the heavy guns side batteries that the battle cruisers do. But they come equipped with 2 squadrons each, rather than just the tier 1 squadrons that the battle cruisers have. Because I was finding I was getting slightly overwhelmed by certain fleets' ordnance. So just having that true group, that'll make them a little bit more durable, a little bit easier to hopefully more likely to win in engagements with other fighters. So I tried to get some fighters over. I should have probably done that a bit lot sooner, but I don't think they're going to make it to the escort in time, and he takes the bomber hits. But it looks like it was just tier 1 bombers, so not a lot of damage was done. Yep, a couple of light cruisers over there. Or is that a light cruiser and 1 cruiser? Yeah, okay, so it's got a cruiser for the flagship, and one looks like 2 light cruisers. Notice the bottom left has been capped, but I'm going to keep my group of escorts hidden in the gas cloud for the moment. I want to make sure that whatever captured that bottom left point is far away from there before I move them out and expose them. So I decided I'm going to go and chase after the flagship. I definitely want him gone so that he can't be casting those fucking tempests on me all match. Because they are a huge annoyance for orcs. Because obviously with orcs, once you've used your big red button, then you're kind of stuck for quite a long time. And so any kind of weapon like that, like the Dark Matter Cannon or the Mechanicus Tempest or the, what is it, Maelstrom? Is that the Elder one? Those kind of vortex effect weapons can be very, very problematic for you. Of course, take a lot of damage. So I would very much like the flagship to be dead as soon as possible. Obviously, chasing down a Corsair cruiser is probably going to take a while, but I feel like it will be worth it. While I'm doing that, the enemy is obviously going to be capturing, backcapping my points. As you can see, there's got several ships down there in the bottom right. Looks like, okay, just the 2 light cruisers. But while he's doing that, I'm capturing the top right point. And we've reacquired the enemy flagship. So we're just going to keep on chasing after him. I mean, focusing all this energy on the flagship, as I said before, it will allow the enemy to gain map control, but I think it'll be worth it in the long run.
25% of strategic points. The enemy has seized.
I'm not quite sure what the rest of his competition is yet. All I've seen other than this flagship cruiser are light cruisers, so it could be that you just got the single cruiser flagship and then the entire rest of his fleet is light cruisers, which is going to be annoying if that's the case. And the thing with Corsairs is obviously the shrouding is quite a big annoyance, but if it's all light cruisers, that means they can actually just choose to go into a silent running stance. So even if you do manage to spot them, they'll just immediately vanish again as soon as they get out of range or the scanner wears off. So you can't even kind of herd them and drop fighters and beacons into gas clouds that you can do with other ships. Also, they're very fast. Right, so he's making a run for this gas cloud. I'm not going to let that happen. Just going to move one of my escorts out to scan him, keep him visible long enough for my fighters to reach him. Hopefully, he has gone into brace for impact, but he hasn't. He's only got 12 point defense guns, so I should be able to get the fighters onto him and do a bit of damage. Got some more bombers coming in. Again, it's just tier 1 bombers, so they'll make it, but they're going to do very little damage, especially to a battleship. Barely anything. Really, the only things that those bombers are going to threaten is my escorts, which, let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 escorts left at this point. Scattered across the map. He is sending a group up to go after my top right group of escorts, which is unfortunate. But at the same time, it leaves my main fleet unmolested to continue going after this flag. So I'm fully committed. Once the flagship's taken care of, then I can cap these nearby points very easily. Once the flagship's gone, then I'll feel a lot better about splitting my fleet up. Because if it's only light cruisers I've got to contend with, then it's not a huge risk to me. So I've got the flagship's generators prioritised. It's always a good idea with Eldar. You'd think it would be engines, but I don't know, I think Eldar ships seem to have like some kind of redundancy in engines, so taking them out isn't as effective as you might think. But the generators to get those holofields down, however, is extremely effective. Because they are just made of paper bullshit once you get that holofield away. So he's going to be going down very quickly. I'll just drop a couple of groups of fighter bombers onto him, just in case. He's in brace for impact, but yeah, as soon as that generator went down and the holofield with it, that was all she wrote for him. So I've started moving my 2 cruisers up to the top left capture point. I'm going to cap there and then sit in the gas cloud and just hold that point. In the bottom left, I've got 2 escorts that are going to capture that point. My escorts who were in the top right have been killed by the light cruiser squadron, but that's fine. That's to be expected. Doesn't matter, they've done their job, they split the enemy fleet up.
You have accumulated 25% of strategic points.
In fact, yeah, the enemy, so those light cruisers that went after my escorts in the top right probably would have captured this right hand side middle point, but they decided to go after the escorts instead. So that's good, that's saved me conceding some more points there.
You have seized a strategic area.
So now we're going to move, just continue cruising up the right hand side of the map here. Take that central point I was talking about before.
You got it.
I was trying to figure out what the enemy's going to do here. I can see there's one light cruiser in the middle of the map there that's making a beeline towards my cruisers. Which I don't think is a very good idea in his part,
The
but
enemy has seized a strategic
yep,
area.
looks like he's thought better of it. He's now going for my escort that's sitting towards the centre left of the map. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a couple of squadrons of fighter bombers to harass him. Hopefully they'll keep him spotted as well. Okay, I've got another couple of light cruisers. 3 more light cruisers. So I'll get them all lit up. See if we can go for a ram. We'll probably avoid it. Yep. But even with the enemy lights, the enemy fighter squadrons out, with that scanner pulse, I should keep those guys spotted long enough for my own fighter bombers to get on target, hopefully. Another squadron of fighters gone out.
You have seized a strategic area.
Well, it's unimportant anyway. I'm probably going to lose my 2 escorts down in the bottom left as well, but
You have
all I'm
seized a
sacrificing there
strategic
is
area.
the 1 bottom left point. Enemy's quite far ahead on points, but I'm soon going to be 4 capture points to his 1. Well, I am 4 capture points to his 1, but he pretty certain he's going to grab bottom left. So I'm going to trade that for bottom right. Okay, get a nice ram off there. Jesus. That was a big chunk of health. That was like... That was almost 50% of his health with a ram from, you know, not even a brute. Can't imagine if what it would like if I managed to get a brute ram off from one of those. It probably one-shot a Corsair light cruiser. I'll have to see if we can make that happen. I'm gonna have to try brutes again. I stopped using them. I stopped using them after, I think it was like way back when we had the patch
The enemy has accumulated
that changed the capture
75%
speeds for different
strategic
ships.
points.
So obviously, so all the escorts, as is the case now, cap at a much lower rate. So I decided to shift over to a fleet that had a lot more escorts. So I had more of the lower cost escorts rather than just a handful. I think I used to run a fleet with like 5 brutes, which were fantastic. I mean, they were so good in the late game. If you could like catch somebody unawares, you just hide them around the map in gas clouds and asteroid fields. And then especially someone like Corsairs who would actively jump into asteroid fields and gas clouds to try and re-stealth themselves, and then you could just plow into them with the brute. Good times. It was always fantastic to get a void stalker like that. But yeah, I've not used brutes in a long time. I'll have to maybe get them out again. I do have a fleet that's based around brutes. It's a ramming fleet. But I've got a feeling that fleet doesn't have much in the way of air cover, and with this latest patch I'm seeing a hell of a lot more fighter and bomber ordnance based builds. So I'm not sure how effective that'll be. So with the two cruisers there, just chilling up in the gas cloud there. If the enemy does decide to try and boost up the left hand side, that'll be a nasty surprise for them. Looks like they're going for bottom right, so I guess I'll just try and chase them down. Now I cock up here. I was wanting to get them with a tractor ram, which I would have been able to do if I just did it now, but then I forgot. I left it until until they'd decapped, which of course immediately re-stealthed them, which is kind of a pain in the balls. But they don't have time to capture the point, so that's okay. As you can see, I've rapidly caught up in the points now, up to 1800 to his 2000, and he's now down to a single capture point because he wasn't able to get this bottom right. So I'll just grab that again. I left one of my battleships up at the top right. I forgot to deselect him from group 1, so I've been issuing all these group commands to what I thought was just these two battleships with the flag down here, but I've accidentally sent him out of his cloud. Although at this point in the game it doesn't look like they're going to go for that top point, so I should probably start moving that battleship down. And to be honest, the same with those two cruisers. I probably should have moved those cruisers down to the bottom left to try and capture there, because I think his light cruisers are going to be occupied for the foreseeable. Ooh, just managed to get away there. I was hoping to get that whole row of light cruisers, but yeah, he noticed.
You have accumulated 75%.
I'll say this for my opponent. He's been on point with noticing when I've been trying to mash his ships into each other with the tractor cannon. He has been dodging. I think on my part, I probably should have just waited until one of them had already used Wraithbone and Shift, or they'd already used Wraithbone and Shift, and then try and slam them into each other that way. It's a little trickier to get the angle right. You've got to try and predict where they're going to be. But with the high speed tractor now, it's pretty good. So I'm going to go for one here. Should be able to escape this time. Nice. That's a good quarter of his health off both of those ships. Good chunk of morale damage as well. Looks like with that fire, that one light cruiser is probably going to break soon. That's two fires he's got now, so he's getting the breaking pretty strong. So I'm just going to go after that group on the left hand side there. There's no point going after the full health ones if I can just get some points for killing these crippled ships right next to me. Unfortunately, getting mutiny on one of my battleships. It looks like his weapons are toasted. They must be targeting those, which makes sense. Oh, he got away. Should probably gone for more of a. I should have pushed it more to the left, not so much back. And then he wouldn't be able to boost like that. But it doesn't really matter. Going down, and yeah, that's me up at 2,630 points now. Still got 4 points in his one, so yeah, this game's over. Yeah, even if he was to get my battleship at this point, yeah, no, the game'll still be over. That's the GG. Bit of a fiddly, annoying game, but not as much of a pain in the arse to deal with as the Void Stalker. I think if my opponent had concentrated more on going after the more isolated points and ships, he could probably have won that. But I don't know. At the end there, he decided to clump together 6 of his remaining light cruisers and tried to go after my battleships, including my flagship with its tractor cannon. So yeah, I think he would have been much better served to either go after my lone battleship in the top right corner, or even the two cruisers up in the top left. I mean, it probably would have gone a lot better for him, because I mean, he had a reasonable amount of damage with those 6 light cruisers. He was able to take out one of the battleships, and you know, he started chipping away at the flag. So if he'd managed to do that to those two, then shouldn't have any problems at all with the 2 terrors or the isolated Ordsgard Daka. And then that would have allowed him to capture those points as well. I mean, if he'd gotten a couple of kills, captured like 1 or 2 points, yeah, that would have been his game. Oh well, let's see what we've got now. Gaduka in the Adeptus Mechanicus. I think this guy, he runs with a slightly unconventional fleet normally. I think I played him a few days ago. Rather than cramming in as many Nova Cannons as possible, or going with an Arc Mechanicus, like double Arc Mechanicus build, this guy likes to take a shitload of escorts and send them out as like a screen in front of his main fleet, which is kind of different. It's actually something that I used to do. I made a fleet for doing that back in competitive season 1 during the Tau Apocalypse. The idea was you would send this screen, I would make like a 2-layer deep screen of escort ships, and then run them in front of my battleships. And then when the inevitable Seeker missile barrage came in, you could just stop the escorts, turn them sideways, and they would pretty much absorb almost all of the missiles. I mean, like the first few would hit them and kill them, but then the wreckage would block the remaining volley, and so you could just move your way up and gain ground on them that way. Some of the better players, Jamadon for example, he would split his Tower Merchant fleet into 2 groups to try and get around this, but still worked. The first time I did it to him, I just face rushed him with this line of escorts, and he was panicking like shit. Managed to take him out quite handily. It was good. So back to fairly traditional tactics on this map. So we've split up our escorts into a couple of groups. One we're keeping hidden in the gas cloud over towards the right there. The group on the far right are going to go after the far right capture point. Main fleet's going to move up the centre. I've got them all nice and spread out to avoid Nova Cannon spam, because I'm not quite sure what Gaduka's running with yet. But yeah, looks like it's the line of escort ships, followed by what, 3 capital ships. He might have one more cruiser like hidden in one of the gas clouds possibly, and just keep that back for Nova sniping, but it's not really enough to be a problem. Just as a precaution, on the flagship I have taken overload shields in place of the usual stasis bomb or beacon, and I'll just throw that up if he does try to snipe my flagship with his Nova Cannons, such as they are. It's yeah, at least it's not going to be a barrage of 5 at any rate, so that's good. I've got a group of escorts over on the left there as well. They're just going to move up. If I do just cut in with my 2 cruisers, I'll use those 3 to capture that left-hand capture point. And then just steamroll them through the escort line there. Now, the good thing about him lining up his escorts like that, all neat, is I reckon I'm going to get a sweet tractor shot on them. If they stay like that, by the time I get in range, I'm just going to be able to send one of those ships just mincing through the rest of them. So fingers crossed to get the opportunity for that.
You got it.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
So cruisers move up. Cruisers have gotten a little bit ahead of the battleships.
Enemy ship sighted.
I've been holding off on my boost because normally with the big red button upgrade that I usually take, the speed kind of evens out between the battleships and the cruisers or battle cruisers because you get that nice bonus to your big red button cooldown. But I've been holding off on using it because I'm waiting for the Nova Cannon spam to start. I want to try and avoid the first ship. This is, I know for a fact this is going to be a Orbital on Messiah. Okay, so there come the two. There's the two actual Nova Cannon shots. So he is just going straight for the flagship. So I'll just pop overload shield, take 0 damage. Bit of morale damage. Still annoys me that that happens, but what are you gonna do? And ooh, that is a nice line of escorts. I am going to absolutely mince them with this tractor shot.
Here we go.
Do it down the way. Dun 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 dun. Lovely.
Enemy ship sighted.
And unsurprisingly, a mutiny on the ship that got dunted into 4 of his pals.
Locked on, boss. Back boys.
So I'll just let my cruisers sort of chill out there and take out the escorts, battleships. They can just boost on forward and start doing damage to the Admech. Boarding, as ever, super effective on the Admech. I'm not going to focus the Arc Mechanicus right now. I'll put all the boarding on him. I'm going to focus my damage on the cruisers. And just get them taken out, get their DPS away and their ability to Nova gone more quickly. Might as well pop an overload shields to stop him taking any more critical damage. Don't think Novas are really going to be an issue the rest of this game though. Maybe that guy that's, yeah, that one cruiser that's heading off towards the south of the map, he might turn around and get one more Nova shot off, but yeah, too little too late I think. So that cruiser's days are numbered. Arc Mechanicus taking a nice ram there. I did pop a repair on my flagship earlier, so unfortunately I don't have the rallying up. So I've had to sacrifice this bridge. It's a bit of a test, but anyway. No. That last escort group managed to evade my my cruiser charge there. I think I took another Nova shot there while I was stuck in the bubble. But it's fine, we'll get plenty of opportunity to give him a revenge spanking. Arc Mechanic is trying to disengage, but that's not going to happen, obviously. There goes the mutiny on his last cruiser. Oh no, he's got another one. He has got another one hidden up there, I thought. Yeah, thought he might have done.
Orcs, orcs, orcs. What do you want? You got it, boss.
Unfortunately popped a mutiny on my flag, but I do have rally available this time, although I think he's about to probably go down to fire damage. Should maybe have popped overload shields just to keep him alive a little bit longer, but again it doesn't really matter at this point. Match has been over for a while. Currently sitting at 1600 points to his 200, 4 capture points to 1. Bulk of his fleet has been destroyed. All he's really got left is one cruiser and a handful of damaged escorts, so even with flagship dead,
Boss, we lost the flagship. Boss,
he
we
is
lost
over. Yeah, looks like my enemy's opponent has conceded. Oh, or did he? How did he alt F4? Alt F4 me back to the menu there, did you, pal? Zoekbiljet. Okay, so we'll just play one more quick match. It's looking like the queue times are getting a bit longer than they were when all those fresh-faced nubs bought the game in the summer sale. But it'd be nice if they kept making updates for this game with Tindalos, but I've got a feeling that Chaos one might be the last of them. It's a bit of a pity. Although once multiplayer dies completely, then it'll give me a chance to go and play the campaign finally. Like I started playing the Necron campaign, played a few hours of that back when all the multiplayer servers went down for a couple of days, a little while ago. That was kind of fun. It's kind of samey though. I wish they would kind of juice it up a bit. I'm not quite sure what the reasoning was in doing the campaigns the way they have. Sort of like, I don't think a narrative campaign is really necessary. I don't think it would have been too difficult to implement a generic campaign you could just play through as any faction, just like a conquest mode, like a total war game, rather than just restricting you. And I mentioned it in a previous video. Like again, I'm so surprised that they made this new campaign Chaos, who play so similarly to the Imperials that you've already got a campaign for. Like I would have gone with my choice would have been to go with the Eldar for the new campaign. With like doing like a what are they called? Those, is it Inari? Like the ones that the Innate followers, whatever they're called. So you could do like what the Imperial campaign's got. You could have the 3 Eldar factions all playable. You could have access to all their ships and sort of make mad mash up fleets, like what the Imperials can do with the Space Marines, Admech, and Imperial Navy. Okay, right, we've got some Necrons this time. Don't recognize the guy's name. Barkis, was it? Barkis 1990. Okay, so yep, the capture points are heavily biased towards the right hand side of the map. We've got 4 points, all very close to each other over there, which is great for me. I love capture points that are nice and close together. Stops enemies from doing any sneaky cap scum bullshit. I've got no idea what fleet Barkis is going to be taking. I mean, for a while there, it was just a case of if you were fighting Necrons, then it was almost certainly going to be 2 cairns. And either a couple of escorts or maybe an escort or a light cruiser. But yeah, people are mixing it up. Getting light cruiser spam and people using those Grand Cruiser carriers. I've seen quite a lot of the Harrower, I think it is, the one, the battle cruiser with the all lance weapons, the all particle whips. They're actually really nasty against orcs. Just ignore your shields and doing all that critical damage. They can wipe out your decks very, very quickly. And then you can use a combination of the Nightmare Shroud and the Scarabs. They can. Oh wow, okay, so this looks like this is a classic Necron fleet. 2 cairns, neither of which are the flagship, which means he must have a light cruiser knocking about somewhere. Which means he's going to probably capture these points over here, engage my fleet for a while, and then he's going to be mass recalling his way over to the opposite side of the map to regenerate.
Hit the red button.
And you know what? He can go ahead and do that. I'm going to capture these 4 points. Let him capture those 2. I'm just going to cruise my ships up, capture all these points. If I can do a bit of damage to him on the way, then great.
You have seized a strategic area.
And then I am just going to park my arse over here and let him come to me. So for now, I've got a group of 5 escorts over on the left hand. I put 5 together because I knew they were going to be isolated over there. So if they ran up against other escorts on the off chance that was what the enemy was going for, I wanted them to have a decent chance of winning in that engagement. So 5 orc escorts are no joke. Although, right, now, in order to... When I changed over from the Hammer battle cruisers to the Terror cruisers for my 2 carrier ships, there was quite a big points differential. So to maintain 8 escorts in this fleet, I've had to make them all Ravagers. Is it Ravagers? The ones with the torpedoes, so, which have got really poor firepower. And to be honest, orc torpedoes aren't super great either. You know, because even the escorts are very unmaneuverable, it's difficult to get a decent aim with them. So the enemy's just teleporting away, trying to mitigate damage. Not going to get a chance to use a plasma bomb just yet. Did he just fly his escort into me? I think it must have, yeah. Flew his escort in, but then he teleported it away. No sign of the flagship yet. I'm sure he's going to be sitting over in the far left of the map there, or he's maybe going down towards my escorts that are sitting in the left-hand capture point as we speak. And then he'll try and drop the 2 cairns on them once he does his inevitable mass recall. So, just another teleport. And what's that in the bottom right? I think that's just an escort trying to cap the bottom right point. That's fine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move my group of 5 escorts over to that bottom right point there. And once I've made these 2 cairns either fuck off or die, then... Now I just saw the teleport of the light cruiser who's just over. Yep, there he went. So he ported out. And there go the cairns. So they're going to sit there and regenerate some of their hull points. Fortunately, I don't have the luxury. Now, for whatever reason, he decided to teleport his cairns up to the top left side rather than down near to where my exposed escorts were. So he could have had a bloody slaughter of those escorts if he decided to send his light cruiser flagship down there and just port the cairns on top of them. But now I've got plenty of opportunity to escape, so I'm just going to move over. He didn't even end up capturing the bottom right hand point. So, yep, I'm soon going to be sitting on 4 points. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit on my 4 points and incubate them like a big mother hen.
You have seized a strategic
And balls in his court. See what it'll do.
You have seized a strategic area.
And then next, if he does decide to come and engage, then the next time he does that, well, then I'm going to get him. Because he has just burned his 1 use only of mass recall.
25% of strategic points.
Yeah, which makes... Yeah, he's only got the 1 charge and he wasted it like that. That was really stupid. That was a really bad play. I mean, if he'd managed to take those escorts out, I mean, that would have been a good 150 points for him. And then he could have used his own escorts to back at. But now I've still got my full 8 escorts available to counter any escorts of his or his light cruiser. And then the bulk of my fleet can just hang out around the middle of those 4 points and just murder his cairns as and when they become available. Yeah, bad move. Okay, so I'm going to sit, just going to escorts in the gas cloud here. I mean, I could have all good escorts if I just decide to go for 7, which I might do. I might just do that. I much preferred having the onslaughts or the savages, or a mixture of the two.
What do you want?
Yeah, because these torpedo boats are just, yeah, they're lackluster.
Orcs, orcs, orcs! The fight is over here!
I suppose they might be good in like a clutch boarding situation, but the torps just, they seem like they've got a really wide spread. They seldom seem to connect, and just with orc maneuverability, they're too hard to aim. Oh, hello. Well, speaking of torps, let's see what we can get off in this guy. Just boost in and keep using them off at the last minute. See if any of these actually connect. On all two hits. 2 out of 6. Huh. Yeah, that's about right. That's pretty much orc accuracy. That's tabletop accurate. Okay, the fight is on. Right, got a lovely plasma bomb on that cairn there. Dropped a ton of boarding on him, so he's going to be going down to red crew step any moment now. I should have his engines. Yeah, I believe I've got his engines prioritized. So when he does drop that crew step, yeah, there goes engines. So no more jumping about with a dick for you, my friend. I've got plasma bomb is going to be up in a few seconds. So in fact, I'm just looking at it, I've actually, yeah, there was really no need to bomb him because I've got so many boarding stacks on him that his crew's going to be dead in seconds. So I probably should just let that happen and started focusing on the other cairn sooner, but oh well. So I've got a few morale issues happening with my ships. That's it for due to that Scarab Swarm. That's pretty bad for eroding your morale. I don't have a rally available yet, so I'm quite vulnerable at the moment to taking some deck damage and having a mass rout on my hands. But no, there goes the other cairn. So with him dead, the remaining light cruisers remain a threat, and he's just got a permanent deck critical as well. Let's see if we can plasma bomb him. No, is he gonna fly into it? He did fly into it. Okay, cool. Pop. That was that. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Enemy did exactly what I predicted he was going to do with his mass recall. Except he, again, I don't know, bleat on about this, but he did it in the most retarded possible way. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next one.